Here's how you pick the best buyer's agent in this market. Hello buyers, how are you doing today? This is Erica Galinas, and I am here to talk about how to pick the best buyer's agent that you can find. So I know it's been tricky for buyers for, going on 4 years now. So we had no inventory, no sellers out there. Now interest rates are all crazy high. It can be very challenging to even just buy a house in this market. And I know there's a lot of buyers that always wonder, kind of suspect, whatever, that their buyer's agent isn't doing a very good job. Let's talk about what makes a good buyer's agent. They're not necessarily things that you're thinking of right off the top of your head. There's really just 3 things that can make the difference between a good buyer transaction and a bad buyer transaction. 2 of them have to do with very practical stuff, like information about the house and being available to you as a buyer. The 3rd one is almost completely dependent on personalities. The very first thing a buyer agent needs to do for you is be available. There are 2 things basically that your agent needs to be available for. One obviously is to show you homes, and the second is to be available to answer questions that you have. Both of those things are very important, particularly in a market that we have right now with such low inventory for sale and things moving so quickly. Both of those things obviously seem pretty straightforward. Your agent has to be available to you, but I wanted to dive into them just a little more deeply. So the first one is to be available for showings. Like I said, in this busy market, houses are going off the market within days, sometimes obviously with multiple showings and multiple offers. So your agent needs to be available to show you a house when it hits the market. However, this doesn't really mean that they should be able to drop everything anytime you want to see something, drive 30 minutes to the house, and show it to you within the next 15 minutes. The first reason why that's tricky isn't really even up to the agent. A lot of times you have houses available for showings, but they have a 24-hour notice period because the seller has little kids or dogs or something. For some reason, their house isn't available in 15 minutes to go look at. Your agent should respond to you and then find that information and then get back to you so you're not just hanging around wondering what's going on. But very often it is hard to schedule a showing on a non-vacant house within the first, say, 10 to 12 hours that you've requested it. If you have an agent that doesn't get back to you about a showing within, say 2 hours, because if their listing appointment just started, maybe it takes them an hour, something like that. If they can't get back to you in that quick of a time range about a showing, I would definitely just find another agent. But be ready, particularly if it's not a vacant house, for them to respond to you with, yes, it looks like they need 24-hour notice. How about tomorrow at 5 p.m.? So then being available for questions obviously doesn't happen on such a strict time frame. But keep in mind that a good agent is a busy agent, just by definition. You are an important client. They absolutely want to help you do something, but they have other clients that are also important, and trying to juggle all the things an agent does in terms of setting listing and showings appointments, in terms of paperwork, in terms of, all the different office tasks that need to be done. They may not be able to get back to you in, 10 minutes. Again, if it takes them 2 days to get back to you with a simple question about your pre-approval, find another agent. There's tons and tons of them out there. But if they're not able to get back to you on a non-emergency basis in more than, 2 hours, give them a break. There's a lot going on in a workday for you, and there's a lot going on in a workday for an agent. Also, I would recommend that you don't expect answers after, say, 7:30 p.m. or before 8 o'clock a.m. Agents are people, agents have lives, agents have children, and they need to sleep and all sorts of things. It is completely reasonable for an agent to have do not disturb hours in the evening and early morning. So if they don't respond to you until after those do not disturb hours, again, cut them a break. Our second thing is information. Your agent should know, or at least be able to find out, all the information about a house you're interested in. That doesn't necessarily mean the second you walk in the door on a first showing that they're going to have, an encyclopedic knowledge of exactly everything that happened with the house. But yeah, they should absolutely have at least the MLS details on a house when you walk in the door, first thing, for every house, and certainly should be able to find out the information that isn't answered on the MLS sheet within, a few hours of the showing, depending on their schedule. This relates to them being available with information. You can find out an awful lot about a house just using things like the county assessor website. You can get HOA documentation through a title company. You can go to the GIS maps and at least get an idea of the property boundaries. There's all sorts of things that an agent can find out for you, and if they're not willing to do so, or their answers are kind of like, I don't know, again, maybe find yourself another agent. The biggest one of these is obviously property condition. Most states have disclosures that are available on the MLS that an agent can look up for you and let you know things like the age of the roof, or if the basement is leaking, or other things about the property that are required to be disclosed by the state. They won't necessarily have that on first viewing, particularly if you're looking at 5 or 6 houses in a day, but that should be something they're able to get their hands on within 24 hours. Also, in terms of information, your agent should kind of be, a little bit like a Sherlock Holmes at a showing. They should be doing things like finding the furnace and looking at it. They should be doing things like, opening the electrical panel. There's even little things like, hey, I observed that there are no men's clothes in any of these closets in this family home. I wonder if there's a divorce or some other problem going on that can give us, the upper hand in negotiations. So, there's information that's publicly available. There's tons of information that's confidential. But your agent should be looking around to try to find the answers to questions, to try to, suss out kind of what's going on with the property to see if it's something that can either, scare you away from a sale, something bad about the house, or if it's something that can maybe help you if you decide to put in an offer. Your agent should be paying attention every step of the way, and they should be able to give you the information that they learned from their years of experience. The third thing is the one that's kind of personality based. Your agent has to be somebody you are comfortable working with. There's obviously agents out there that, you're not going to get along with for whatever reason. It doesn't mean anybody's a bad person or something, but sometimes people don't, they just don't mesh. But your agent should be a real person. A lot of agents, maybe newer ones, they're a little bit kind of robotic. And, you go to a showing and they open the door and they say, here is the kitchen. Here is the bathroom. They don't really engage with you as a client. They don't really necessarily listen to what you're saying about what kind of house that you want, or your feelings about this particular situation at this buy level or something like that. Agents should be listening to you to make sure that they are helping you make the right choice. If you have an agent that's cold and robotic, it doesn't really feel like they're listening. Maybe they're totally listening, but they're not really engaging you on a level that makes it seem like they, really care about what you're doing and why you're trying to buy a house. On my showings with clients, I am absolutely proactive. We look at everything. We talk about all the different parts of the house. Like, maybe this works, this doesn't work. Maybe you can do a remodeling project. Well, I don't know. Based on the price, I don't know if it's worth remodeling, etc., etc. A lot of times at my showings, there's a lot of laughing, not because nobody's taking it seriously or because I'm a comedian, but because in normal, regular, personality-based discourse, there's usually a lot of, little joking around and being open to each other, being friendly with each other, and kind of trying to make everything fun. Obviously, buying a house is stressful. Making big decisions with hundreds of thousands of dollars on the line is pretty damn stressful. You have to have an agent that can see you being stressed out, that can see you being yourself, and that means it has to be an agent that you are comfortable with. So much of house buying really has an emotional element to it. I mean, we can sit down and do all the math and figure out, this exact Venn diagram of the exact house that you want and the whole thing. But ultimately, emotions play a large part. You have to be comfortable displaying emotions in front of your real estate agent. You have to be comfortable being 100% honest with your real estate agent. And a lot of times, the agent that is robotic and professional and kind of fakey isn't the one that you want. Obviously, the trickiest part is that you can't really tell this stuff when you're looking online for a real estate agent. You can't really tell, if they're going to be available to you, if they have the information, or what their personality is like when you, click on somebody on the MLS and give them a call to see about showing a house. One thing you can do when you start your search for a house, whether you have a question or there's a specific house you're interested in, is call that agent on the phone. I understand that it's very nerve-wracking to call a stranger on the phone about stuff you don't know anything about. Totally fine. That's kind of a good thing, because if you call the agent and talk to them, you can be honest and you can be like, just say, I don't know what to do. I never bought a house before. How that agent responds to you is a very good indication as to how well you guys might get along and what kind of agent it is. If the agent is abrupt and seems too busy, maybe they're not very available, and maybe it's not the agent for you. Most agents aren't going to have information on a house absolutely memorized, but if they can't pull it up or give you a call back shortly with that information, again, it's a question about how good are they at getting information and understanding what information you need. And personality-wise, if you call them and they're very fake salesmen, or they're very robotic, or they seem very timid, or they're not open and generous and excited to show you a house or answer your question, maybe call the next number on the list. You are absolutely not obligated to use a certain agent, whether it's a listing agent for a property or it's somebody your mom recommended or the person you clicked on Zillow. Unless you've signed some kind of paperwork, if the agent isn't working for you, send them an email and say, hey, thanks for helping me out. I think we've decided to go in a different direction. That's all. No is a complete sentence. And then call another agent and see if those three things click to help you buy the house that you want. So it may surprise to learn you that I am that kind of agent. I really enjoy working with buyers, particularly first-time home buyers or sellers. There's a lot that goes into that as well. So if you have a question really anywhere in the country, please give me a call or text me anytime at 219-765-2062. If it's easier, you're more comfortable, you can always send me an email at hsbyerica@gmail.com. Just open up that dialogue, ask questions, whatever you need, and I'll be happy to get back to you. As far as information goes, you can always check out my website at homesalesbyerica.com. There's a big buyer's guide in there with lots of information, also a seller's guide as well. Links to my other videos with other buyer tips and things like that. You can start a home search there. You can get a home valuation if you are thinking of selling, and there is a chat function. So if you want to reach out to me that way, I'm happy to help. If this is your first time here, please click the subscribe button. I do buyer and seller tip videos every Thursday, and I do market updates for my local area on Tuesdays. So please ring that bell so you can get notified when those get posted. Thanks again, and I'll see you next Tuesday.